Hello.
Yes.
And you know
Great
what?
music. Great
The
music
Call
for an
for
event that
Papers
happened a
is-
year ago.
The Call for Papers is actually open, though, for FlutterCon
new
USA.
I
Yeah.
submitted mine last week.
You have the link. I
Nice.
don't have the link to hand. I was going to share the link and try to find
I
it.
have to come up with
I,
one, I guess, because I want to go.
I've written up 2 talk descriptions. I'm running them by Mrs. Inator before I submit them, but I am super excited. I've got 2, I think, really good ideas. So we're going to pick one and we're going to get it submitted.
I submitted 2, one for leadership, one for Flutter. So we'll
Cool.
see. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I've just, someone graciously has just sent me the link. I'm going to share it in the chat.
Okay.
There we go. So there's those that have a idea for a talk for the USA FlutterCon. Feel free to drop that on that very website. And you might get selected.
Can I say something for first timers? If you've never done this before, but you have something you'd like to talk about, it's really great. It's really rewarding. Of course, it's scary. It's scary every time, but it's extra scary the first time. But the wins you get from doing it are pretty up there. So if you're kind of hedging in your mind of whether you should try or not, I say go for it. You never know. I got selected the first time I ever applied, and I was shocked, completely shocked that I got selected. And it was really one of the more amazing things I've ever done, and I've continued to do it since because it's so awesome. So
I mean,
And the speakers have a whole extra level of fun too, because we all party after each day together, so it's kind of fun.
like summer camp. for
Speaker parties are great. Yes.
I will also say that you also
Decades
get support
of
from other speakers and things, right? And
Yep.
you can also reach out to the organizers, and we'll find out if you might find that there's other people that that have been speaking that you can do like a joint talk with as well. So if you're a first time speaker, that's another way of like doing a 2-person talk. Matthew, how did your first talk go?
It went really well, actually. Like I, my first time was last year, and I was really surprised that I got selected first time applying. So thank you to the selection committee.
Because you had a cool
but
talk. Let's be honest, you had like an awesome talk with lots of gadgets and
thank
gizmos.
you. Thank you. Yeah, and that's the thing, is that this year I'm hoping to have even more gadgets and gizmos if my talk gets selected. I don't want to be too preemptive. But yeah, no, it was a really truly positive experience. Like FlutterCon itself is fantastic, and if you're watching the show, you're interested in Flutter, you should 100% attend. But
Yes.
even if you don't think you've got something to share, you would be surprised at just the diversity of backgrounds that people come to FlutterCon with, and someone is going to be interested in what you have to say. And so I would highly encourage you, if you are on the fence about doing it, you lose very little by trying. And you're going to learn a lot. You're going to meet some really cool people. And as Randall says, the after parties are pretty legit. So 100%.
I mean, what is it about speak? I'm trying to remember back to my first talk, presentation. Like, what exactly was so scary about it? Because I think maybe it's just the fear of the unknown, or maybe the fear of rejection, like someone might boo you or something like. And then no one's going to do that. Like, no, it's not like that, right? The other side of this is, I think a lot of people, until you're up there on stage, they don't understand like what it's like, because it's not like there's 100 people talking to each other about you. No, it's everyone is focused on what you're saying, what you're doing. And if you stumble over a word or make a mistake, you just carry on. They didn't even notice, because they're now thinking about what you're now talking about. Like, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? It's not. Yeah. And, if you need to stop, take a drink, just do that. Again, like it's expected, People are hanging on your every word, as it were, because they're coming to your talk about whatever you're talking about. They're interested, right?
So
Also,
this may not work for everyone, but like my whole theory is like, if you're scared of something, you should go do it within reason. Like, don't jump off a building. Maybe if a parachute, I don't know, base jumping, something.
Base jump.
But like, if you're super scared of something, you should do it, because then you're not going to be afraid of it anymore, right? And like, they say public speaking is like people's greatest fear. I don't believe that. I feel like if you put a gun to someone's head, they would 100% be like, and I have things to talk about, right? Like, I feel like those two things, but the truth is that it really comes down to a fear of rejection and a fear of people not liking you. And I will tell you, the Flutter community is a very kind and generous, and I'm going to use this word, and I don't know if it's appropriate or not, but I would say loving community. Like, we are a really positive group of people for the most part. And if you're there talking, no one's going to throw a beer bottle at you. No one's going to curse at you. No one's going to say you suck or you don't know what you're talking about. Just try it.
If you think that's going to happen, request the stage that has the chicken wire on it.
You may get some questions. I will since we're talking about this and being transparent, you may get questions from the audience. I have done talks where I've gotten no questions and talks where I've gotten questions, and I actually like getting the questions more. That can sometimes be a little terrifying going into it, in case you may not know the answer. I actually had that happen where I didn't know, and I just said, I don't know, and then moved on.
I tell you a couple of tips about that. One is, the person talking, you may have an accent, and also when you're on stage, you don't get to hear them that very well from where they are. Like, the speakers project out to the audience, so it's very hard to actually hear when someone asks a question what they're actually asking. So if there is a problem with like an accent, it's very hard to hear. Just say, "Come speak to me afterwards. I'll help you out then." You know what I mean? Like you don't have to answer it on the spot there, right? Like, you can be more open that way. And then the other one is, as I said, like, if it's a difficult, say you don't know, but come speak to them afterwards, we might be able to figure that one out, whatever it might be. I don't know. But there's, you don't have to be like, oh my God, I don't know this thing. I'm going to look like, like, I don't know, whatever. But
your career is not over because you did not know how to answer one question.
Yeah.
It's
You talked about questions. I've had it go both ways, right? I've had it where I've had a lot of questions and no questions at all. And half me is like, the no question thing is like, am I in the situation where I've done the talk too well, so there's no questions?
Yeah.
Or have I done the talk so much, like it's maybe so technical that people don't understand it, so they don't have any questions, or their question might seem too dumb that they don't want to speak out loud to everyone. Because a lot of people will hold back their questions because they won't look like maybe an idiot to a microphone, which is, who cares, right? Like, doesn't matter. And then, they'll come see you afterwards, right? They'll come up to the stage afterwards and ask you a question, right? But yeah, I think like it can go either way. But to be honest, it's one of those things where you have to. There's two types of talk normally. There's like a 40-minute and like a 20-minute, or 15 and 30, depending on like the slots. And you've got that's the idea of a lightning talk, really fast talk, 15-minute, 20-minute talk, versus a 40 or 45-minute talk. To keep someone seated for 45 minutes without, just droning on about facts and information, that you have to keep them engaged. So the talk is not just about the talk. When you give a talk or a presentation, there are ways of definitely improving techniques, and maybe there's stuff you can go read about it. But yeah, don't just the worst you can do is just turn around and it says this, and then it says that, and then it says this, because no one wants to. They can read the slides themselves, right? One of the best things you get when you're doing the speaking is you get dual monitor normally set up, so you can read your notes and have your like previews on your screen, and then have the actual presentation on the main screen. And if you do it that way, obviously, depending on how you mirror it, then you get to read you've got your notes for points, like you can put your own bullet points, these things, specific points you want to mention, or key phrases that jog your memory, or whatever it might be. You can write out like a script even if you wanted to, right? If you're doing like a two-person talk, normally that's kind of more scripted in terms of there's bits where you want to switch between, like I'm going to do the first 3 slides, you'll do the next 3 slides, 3 slides, or whatever it might be, sections of the talk. But certainly don't just read what's on your slides. Your slides should be the highlights and not the detail. If you're just going to cram, you always got to remember how large the halls can normally, depending on how big they are, but someone could be quite far back. So that text has to be legible, right? So you probably you don't realize, but you need to treat your slides as if they're running on like a 640 by 480 or something like, or 720p kind of screen, like big bold text. And the other one, high contrast, because you might be in a room that's got light in it, so you need to make sure that the text is visible from the background. So many people make that mistake, especially with code snippets. They like take a screenshot from the editor, which looks great on a monitor, but on a projected screen, it can look awful.
Oh my God! That is my. Go ahead, Bill.
I would also add a few things, since I've done a few talks since the mid '90s. That was my primary income for most of the '90s and the early 2000s was teaching Perl. But one of the things is unless you're a good actor, don't read a script. Use only bullet items. So go ahead and prepare a script. Use the LLMs to give you like a script for your talk, so you can make slides from that and you can kind of get the sense of all the details. But then tell it to turn it into a bullet list, so that all you have are the bullet items. You will be much more natural because you'll be talking about each bullet rather than quoting words that are on a screen.
Yeah, I find if you practice your talk enough times, you don't need the notes anyways, because you get the whole kind of like flow. You remember the things you said that worked and didn't work, and it kind of.
I don't have time for that.
That's definitely one thing you
biggest beef.
Sorry. Just before we jump into that, on that point about the timing. You get a timer if you're doing that second screen. Make sure you start the timer. I've forgot to set a few times, but yeah, always try and go through your slides beforehand. Even if you've got someone like this, like you could be on a video call with a friend, have them give you some feedback, but also just it gives you the timing and pace of how you want to talk through it. Can be really helpful. Yeah, sorry, Matt, that was my point. John.
Now, my biggest beef. So if you are live coding, which is cool, like I love it. Okay. Your code editor that you use day to day is not going to look good when it is up on the projector. Like, I don't care if you hate light mode, put it in light mode. I don't care if you use 8-point font, put it in like 32 or 64 point font or something, right? Because so many talks, people have been live coding away, and it's like the talk is really interesting. They know their stuff. I'm excited. I can't read a damn thing that's on the screen, you know? So that is the other thing to keep in mind. But back to the question thing. If someone, first off, before I go into the joke, the fastest way to earn my respect is to say, I don't know. I'm just going to throw that out there. The fastest way to earn my respect is to say, I don't know. So if I ask a question and the person on the stage says, I don't know, that cool. I got it. I respect that. But if you don't feel comfortable with that, you can be like, that's a great question. It's the greatest of questions. We're going to have so many great questions. We're going to have the greatest of all the great questions. That's a good question. We've got so many more great questions. And just, repeat that for a while and then wander off stage. That'll work well for you.
Yeah.
There's
making me sick there. Yes. Anyway.
Sorry.
Anyway, I was going to say, what was you saying?
One more thing while Simon's thinking of that. One more thing in the chat. I put my talk, my 5-minute. What do they call those? Ignite talk, where you have auto advanced slides every 15 seconds and you go for 5 minutes. I did a talk on karaoke for fun and profit, and it's how I got over my stage fright by using karaoke. One path, not suggesting it's good for everybody, but it definitely helped me have stage presence, connection with audience, everything that you need to do, because to really sing in front of people is, I think, in some ways more intimate than even speaking in front of people. So watch the talk.
There is also about getting over that thing about audience sizes can be another thing. So find your local Flutter meetup. Go to meetup.com/Flutter, I think it is, and you get the whole Flutter meetup community on there. Find your local meetup, do your talk there. It may only be to like 10, 15, 20 people, but you get to have a more personal experience. They get to give you direct feedback. The people from your area, they understand everything about what's going on or whatever. And that can really help in terms of sort of building up your confidence, and then you can go to maybe something larger, like a larger audience. Also, to be clear, if you're a first-time speaker and you're applying to a place like FlutterCon, we're not going to put you in like the biggest room. Like, there's an expectation, and again, on the topic, it's all about, we try and make sure it kind of works. That's the idea of the conference organizers. They try and make sure it all works for everyone, like the right audience and the right room doing the right thing. It doesn't always work out, but that is the aim, one of the aims. I think another thing
also,
to say is don't just pick a topic don't just pick a topic they don't have any information to make a talk. You're not just there to make a talk. You're there to impart the knowledge that you have already gained. I feel like a lot of people can do that wrong, right? Like it's a bit like, let's say I'm building a custom scrolling view and I know about scroll bars and I've done all this stuff about scroll bars. I've had all these headaches about how I dealt with scroll bars and Flutter or whatever else. I can now do a talk on how scroll bars work, how to get around all the problems with scroll bars and do stuff with scroll bars, right? That'd be the perfect talk to give, because suddenly everyone's like, I don't have to figure that out for myself. You just told me all the problems, all those catches and catch-22s that I might run into and issues. There it is, all laid out, and I can deal with it. That's a perfect talk, right?
Yep.
Well, one of them. There's many different styles of talk. You know what I mean? That's that kind of like, it works. Go on. Sorry, what are you saying?
I do also want to say that I'm between gigs right now, and I've got some spare time. So if you want personal coaching from me, I'll give it away for free, because I want more people to speak. So feel free to find me online. I'm everywhere.
Turn to plug Flutteristas. We do a lot of mentoring and have research. available
Have
in
instructions.
yet. Yeah.
So,
I might take you
Yeah.
up on that, Randall.
Sure.
Like
Be
if
happy
you're,
to set up a
I know
call.
you put it out for the audience, but like I
Yeah.
personally would, I would love that. So
I could certainly criticize you from my 40 years experience teaching. Yes.
not all
let's
criticism
do,
is bad. That's the thing,
Yeah.
though. Like
Yeah.
there is destructive and there's constructive criticism, and there's a very thin line between the two. But if you've got thick enough skin, it can be super valuable.
I think it's
So
Right.
again how you take it, right? Like a lot of that stuff you can take something on the nose and and be better for it still, right? I think there's an aspect of that is it doesn't matter if someone says they didn't like your talk or they didn't like what you're talking about. That's still valid input. That someone has a different opinion than you, right? Like I think that's still fine. But yeah, again, destructive versus constructive, right?
So, fun fact about me, I, for a brief period of my life, was a children's birthday party magician. That's how I made a living. And if you watch my talks, there's a little bit of that comes out. There's a very much like ta-da kind of vibe going on, right? But I will tell you, there is no one who is more open to giving you criticism than children. They will literally sit there in the middle of the party, and if they don't like what you're doing, will be like, "You suck. This is boring." Like, and that has happened to me. Let me tell you, like, once you have been roasted by an 11-year-old with an attitude, it is so difficult to like take anything to heart after that. Like, honestly.
Sure.
And so you're not talking to 11-year-olds. Like, what you have in your head is like my experience of 11-year-olds. You're talking to adults. Adults usually don't do that.
There's
the polite.
Yeah.
We should do yeah.
Let's do introductions. Let's do introductions, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
With that note,
my name's Simon Lightfoot, Flutter community leader and CTO at Dev Angels London, and you can find me on Twitter and other places with @DevAngelsLondon. Randall.
I'm Randall Schwartz. I'm a karaoke star and Dart and Flutter Google developer expert. What that means is I spend a lot of time answering questions for y'all on all the various socials that are set up for the Flutter community. And also for this particular show, I am the question magician, which means I am watching the chat, looking for a Q colon in front of a statement, and I will flag that for the panel to answer in the order received. If you say the same question twice, you go to the bottom of the list. So don't do that. Just know that we see all, unless it has a URL in it, that we never see that. So don't put URLs in your questions, but we will take your questions roughly in the order being answered. We'll answer your questions in the order being asked. Sorry, there we go. That makes more sense. We will question the answers. And again, I'm going to stop now. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Kaylee. I am a Flutterista, as we mentioned before, co-manager of the Flutteristas. We are all about the women and non-binary Flutter enthusiasts. So if you fit into that category, hit us up at flutteristas.org. In my daytime, I am CEO of Checks on Me, where we do Flutter on the front and Dart on the back. Matthew.
Hey, I am Matthew Jones. I am a senior innovation engineer at a really large bank where I innovate with many things, most especially Flutter. But you can find me around the interwebs as Makerinator, where I go on YouTube and I make all kinds of fun and unique projects. I've made some really good progress on the current one. Someday you'll see a video about it. So super excited about that. Yeah, that's me.
Right. I think that's
us.
I guess we can do, if you do want to paste links or code for review, you can do that. Is this yes, if you head over to just.no and log in your GitHub account, then you can enter it, put your code in the box, make sure the file name ends in .dart so we get that lovely syntax highlighting, and post your gist, and then you just copy, like 0.6 mentions, copy the hash, not the whole URL, just the hexadecimal hash at the end of the URL, and pop that in your chat message. And then we'll be able to go look that up and find the code and have a look at it. Right, that's that then.
We have one question so far.
Let's. I will say, Randall. So I moved offices, as people probably realized. It's a home office, so I moved house. But in the move, Randall, I found a bunch of old code that I wrote, including Perl code on paper.
Wow, Perl code on paper. That's
Visual Basic,
useless.
QBasic, Perl code. I found all my old like code books
Nice.
and things.
Nice.
Like graph paper with dots to draw all the characters and ZX Spectrum and all sorts of other fun things. But I found some Perl code and it was like 1992 or 1993 or something. I can't remember what it was. And I was like,
wow.
I love this.
Hey,
All the
you know,
CGI.
it looks
so
like
funny.
it's line noise to me now. I don't remember Perl as much as I used to.
I remember
It's
there
so
being
funny,
some
I
random
was-
I remember some random characters you put in to do input and output from standard in, standard out. I remember like there was a lot of that, open up a file and then have some weird brackets and things to output to different places.
I was actually thinking of you yesterday, Randall. I turned on
Oh, no.
YouTube and it suggested a video to me called "Why Did Pearl Quietly Die?"
Yes,
And
yes.
I was like, I should watch this and then ask Randall what he thinks about it. So I
Well,
haven't watched it, but-
midway through, they talk about how the Just Another Pearl Hacker sign-offs got created. That's me. They don't mention me by name. They say one programmer did this. And I'm going, yeah, so close to getting promotion. So close. But that was me. So when you hear that about the Just Another Pearl Hacker obfuscated Perl code, that's me.
This happened to me actually for Flutter. So when the very beginning of Flutter, I started putting a blue heart on things.
Yeah.
Right? Because people say blue heart like you're depressed, right? That was the whole thing. I think
Right.
why the emoji was. I put blue heart because it's Flutter blue, right? Like it's a
Yeah.
blue. I put that on a bunch of posts and start using that community, and then everyone started putting it on their names on Twitter to indicate that they like Flutter, so you could see who liked Flutter or not. And then people kept saying, "I wonder who came up with this first." I'm like, I think I did this.
Right.
Me. And yeah, and then there's a few people like have like forwarded my post from like 2018 or whatever it was to say, look, this is when it first heard about it. Like people have actually gone and look it.
Nice.
That's
Nice.
kind of cool.
Yeah, I first put my blue heart on after I saw a post from you, Simon. Yeah, 100%.
Cool.
Yeah, that's some time ago.
All right,
2018.
So we got one question.
Have you guys ever had that experience yet? I mean, it's happened to me quite a few times where you go online to find an answer to a problem like Stack Overflow and you find your own answers.
Oh yeah, all the time, especially with Perl because I had 255 magazine articles that were folded online back in the early web, so it was like a substantial amount of material. And like 10 years later, I was trying to figure out how to do something. I go, I know there's a way to do this, and I Googled, and my article came up first. And oh yeah, that's how I did that before. How nice.
I'll go one step further. I've had an LLM feed back to me the answer that I originally wrote on a Reddit post like ages ago.
Nice.
Not even
Did you
kidding.
hear this Matthew Jones posted this thing online?
Right.
Yep. Amazing stuff. It all comes back to haunt us. I was just talking about somebody earlier today talking about Emacs Lisp, and I said I wrote the pretty printer for that. So that was incredibly crazy, but there was no pretty printer in Emacs Lisp, and I wanted to be able to take an arbitrary S expression and see it nicely. And I wrote one, and Richard Stallman called it brilliant to put it in the distro.
It's a good example. It's a good example of posting something to open source, right? You contribute to open source, even just answering questions, but also to other code. Before you know it, you can be proud to say that my code is making that thing work, or someone else using like that. That comes up later in your career all the time. When you start doing that, so like it's really is proud is the right word? I guess proud. Like it makes you really like happy that someone's actually taking your code and using it and it's making a difference.
Yeah, and then I think of all the people today who know what a Schwartzian transform is, which was named after me, but not by me. I'm not that vain. But to know that it's out there and actually is part of the there's a language that's actually a Schwartz sort is actually baked into the language. So it's like my name ended up as part of a language operation. So that was kind of cool. Anyway,
I will say, to your point, Simon, I had an experience where my first big boy dev job was for a very small nonprofit organization who took a chance on me because like I had no background whatsoever, and they didn't pay a whole lot, but at the same time, they, you know, I made so many mistakes. I learned so much. I deleted the entire file server by accident once. It was fantastic. That's a whole other great story that I can go into sometime. But like years later, I went back to visit some old friends at that job who worked there. And I went in and I toured the facilities, and I saw stuff that I had written still being used and still being like people getting active value out of it. And I had that moment where I was like, you know what? As much as this job gave to me, I at least gave something of value back, because they're still able to use these things and they're still able to get that value out of it. And that makes me really proud, for sure.
I had something similar the other day. I worked on the BBC News app, and there's a schema and a whole system of communication I came up with working the API, and they're still using it today. And I did that in 2014, I think it was 2013, 2014. There's still, and it works to this day. And it's like, they must consider it legacy. I don't know, but it works. Oh, time flies.
So the deleting the file server story is actually pretty interesting. I'll share it here real quick. I know we've got a question queue, and we're actually here to answer questions.
Well, just before we jump onto that, get your questions in the queue. Get a queue in front of them if you want us to answer them. Otherwise, I guess we can we'll jump on some live coding or do something else. We can figure some
we could do that. Yes.
So my first, I was not super familiar with Git at the time, like first big boy coding job, all the things, right? Okay. What I didn't realize is that my predecessor had indexed the entire file server in the Git repository that also held the website. And so I was trying to clean up the Git repository and get rid of all these extraneous files. Didn't realize that when I did a git remove that it was going to also, like, I put in the wrong command and it actually deleted all the files in the file server. So I said, okay, everything in this directory we don't need. And then it proceeded to delete every file on the file server. I'm sitting there like, why is this taking so long? And then all of a sudden the phones start ringing off the hook in the IT department and people start freaking out. It was like, it shouldn't have been there in the first place, and it was stupid. But yeah, that was a fun experience. So, but yeah, you know what? I have a question for the audience. What is your greatest like dev disaster? Have you like deleted a database or something? We want to hear about it, because like I've done everything that you could possibly post. I have done and more in my experience of not becoming absolute garbage at development. So if you've done something stupid, I'd like to hear the story. I'm curious.
I refuse to talk about myself, but I can tell a story about somebody else.
I'm just trying to think, like, I'm pretty sure, I know I've deleted a couple of databases or files in the past and had to like recover them. Like, luckily that like there's been a backup, right? I think there was a big one that happened sort of at BBC News when I was at BBC News. Wasn't directly me, but it was our team. The tester was testing push notifications and was given the production keys. So he sent out a push notification, could be considered slightly rude, to the entirety of 20 million users at the time. And there was a big hoo-ha and a big retraction notice and lots of meetings and how did this happen and how can we not have this happen again? And whoops.
That's hysterical though. Like, honestly, I feel like the BBC should have taken the Gen Z response to that and just been like, "Oops, our bad," and then just moved on.
Well, no,
you know?
It was like that. Like all of the posts were like that, and then all the other news companies were like obviously having a laugh about it, right? But I think it was like internally they're like, we can't have this happen again, right? But I do remember it was like shock horror, no nudity in Game of Thrones. I like testing, test, or something like that. Like it was something like, yeah, something like that. I think I remember writing. It was like just get pushed out to 20 million users was funny.
I don't have any really fun stories myself, but I can share one from a friend that told me one. And I'm not going to say the company that he works for, but it belongs in the big tech landscape. He's been an engineer there for 15 years, and he works building a lot of the internal tools. So everybody in this big tech company sees his work or utilizes it to some degree or another. And he pushed to their version of production by accident some of his debugging print statements that were in there. And it just said, yeah, like YA. And whatever it was broken and was infinitely printing yes to everybody.
Oh, no.
To
Oh, yes does that. Yes generates an infinite number of yeses.
Tens of thousands of people in this company all saw his yes everywhere. So then he became the yeah guy.
Great.
If someone didn't like make his theme music that Usher song, yeah, like every time he walks in the room, bump, 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 yeah, bump, 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 bump.
One of my coworkers was working on some database SQL, and had gone on to the production server in one of the windows to verify the current status of one of the tables. And when he was done developing, he typically would shut down the whatever box he was using so that he wouldn't burn extra Amazon points or whatever they are. And of course, he typed shut down on the production server. This live website became dead for about an hour while everything got all reset back from scratch.
What did they say? You're not a real engineer until you screwed up
production. Yeah. There's
what's the website? WTF? No, what's the website?
dailywtf.com.
Daily WTF. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, that one's great. That should be required reading for every developer. The
dailywtf.com.
It's not just daily WTF.
In Matthew's case, oh shit git
is the daily.
Yeah, that is the website. Oh shit git. All the git lessons you need to not say oh shit.
To this day, I don't understand why the file server was indexed by this Git repo. I do not understand what they were thinking, but
sorry, I'm just reading some of the headlines on this website.
Yeah. The daily WTF. It's required reading for me every morning. I get in there. My favorite, just to give you a sense of the kind of stuff that's in there, and there are decades of it now. My favorite was someone had set up an enum that was true, false, file not found. Like, clearly those are equal things.
What is wrong with this bitch?
I'm sorry, I got distracted. It was just reading Daily WTF.
Yeah. It's crazy.
You'll get a lot of good stuff.
Right.
There's there's a bunch of these that made their way into XKCD as well. Like I think there was like the whole idea of like having a function saying get random number and it returns like 4, and then there's a comment in there which basically says, I got this 4 from a random throw of the dice.
Yeah. It was random at the time. Indeed. Well, we've got 2 questions now if you want to start taking questions.
Sure.
Oh my god, this guy's function is a recursive like shutdown server.
I literally just read the same one.
That was great. So it does it by crashing the stack. I love that. That's shutting it down for sure.
Recursive shutdown.
Yes.
That's how you get Stack Overflow, people.
That's one way to do it. Let's continue here. I don't know the answer to this. Toyota gaming engine discontinued.
Where
do you see that?
No.
And that's the other half of the question, right? That begs
the official website for the project doesn't list it as discontinued, so I'd say no.
We would guess no.
I just looked at it. Fluorite.game doesn't say anything about it being discontinued, so my answer would be no. It doesn't matter what news website or stupid thing says it's discontinued. Until they say it officially on their website, it's a no. That's
Right.
the way I would see it.
Makes sense.
Otherwise, it's
And-
hyperbole. You know,
And we have another
Right.
question which has a quick answer, which is why the Dart MCP cannot be used by Android Studio. I believe it's because Android Studio is not an MCP host, so you can't hook with any MCPs in there. Can you?
they've got AI assist. They've got AI system stuff now. And all
They've got
the rest of
AI
it.
Assist, but I don't think it has plugins for MCPs.
I'm pretty sure you can like whack MCP stuff into, but I've never done it myself. So
Yeah. You can always use Gemini CLI in a terminal window in AS if you want to do that, so you can integrate it that way. But there is
not gonna lie.
Google.
I mean,
Go ahead.
Most of the LLMs already do a good job with Dart and Flutter. I've not seen a huge wide benefit of including the
It
MCP.
literally is adding an MCP server to Android Studio. There's an entire instruction on how to do it on the website.
That should work just fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, MCP is a standard protocol. Like,
yep.
There's no reason why, you know, I'll pop this in the chat. This is what, I mean, I'm not going to go through it, but yeah, no. Android settings,
That's
tools,
fairly recent.
AI, MCP servers, enable MCP servers, create MCP configuration, click OK. And here's an example MCP configuration. Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
The answer is yes. No reason why it shouldn't work.
You down with MCP? Yeah, you know me.
Oh, that's okay. I've probably done that before. Yes.
All right.
Yes. The Dart MCP is handy though in that it lets the LLM talk to the analyzer, which can get more information. It can also let the analyzer, or it can also evaluate packages and stuff. I mean, you can ask it about a package and it will go out and find the GitHub repo for it and how many stars it has and sort, 10 packages that are on state management by order of popularity and have GetX at the top of that. But yeah, I mean, you can do all sorts of wonderful queries with it. It's more than just Dart code and understanding Dart code. It's also, there's a Dart skill buried in it. There is no, that's only for the extension for Gemini CLI, but there's about 20 tools in it that are all
in particular. It'll run your build runner for you.
Yeah.
But one beef I have is I work on a mono repo with a bunch of server pod with got a bunch of different projects, and it will always run build runner from the root, which doesn't work. You have to run it in the project. So it'll run build runner, build nothing, and then go success. Yay. No. Not success.
Have any of you messed around with OpenClaw?
No.
I'm staying far away from that.
Yeah. I've heard of people that playing around and having exciting things with it, but you basically, you're giving open access to a lot of stuff, and it's just, there's a high risk involvement there, right? And it's too much risk for me.
Yes. I know I could put it in a Docker container, and then at least the damage would be limited to a Docker image. But
the problem is you have to give it access to a bunch of stuff to make it useful, and at that point,
you're done.
My partner was complaining about spending all day responding to emails for her business, and I'm like, we should just install OpenClaw on your laptop, and then it could respond to all of your emails on your behalf. What could possibly go wrong? And I thought she was going to have a stroke because she wasn't sure if I was serious or not, which was great.
There's other automations like that, like especially if you're using Google Mail.
You
can use well, no, there's what's the tool that is sort of like N8N, but you basically give it an AI instruction and it creates a workflow. And it can trigger off of Gmail. It can send stuff back to Gmail. Oh man, it's like the name of gem of some kind. How could I not remember? There's too many Gemini products. I know it's in Labs Google.com. I can go there and find out.
Nemo,
But
galore.
it's no. Where are the flow? No.
What was that thing I saw? I saw a Twitter post recently. It was about DLSS5 from NVIDIA. It's like, I'm not sure if it's like using AI enhancement. Basically, it's like, here's what it would be without this. Turn it on. That's like ultra detailed and like cool and stuff. I'm like, people make.
So DLSS is a really cool technology. What they do is they render the frame at like a lower resolution, like 720p or 1080p, and then they use DLSS, which is an AI upscaler, to take it to like 4K or even 8K. And people have mixed feelings about it because it does give you really good frame rates at higher resolutions that just would not be possible without it. But also, sometimes, like in DLSS 3, there was a fair amount of artifacting and stuff that occurred. I don't know where DLSS 5 is.
I'm also like, you're running like a lot of frames through like some model, and it seems like a lot of work. I mean, I don't know enough about it to be fair, but it's not the same. Imagine it's not the same type of model as like an LM.
So speaking of AI generated art stuff, there is I'm trying to remember the name of it. It is like retro diffusion is what it's called. So retro diffusion will actually create pixel art for you via AI, and it's like actually like placing colors and squares to generate the images and stuff. I was playing around with it. Like, I haven't used it in anything that I've put out, but it actually is pretty cool. So it's worth checking out.
Opal. I knew it was like a gem. Opal. Opal was the name. It basically you specify a workflow, and it builds it, and it can trigger off things like Gmail coming in.
Okay.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah. It's an N8N killer. It's designed to do automation in the sky for you.
Again, I don't like the idea of having my emails being like essentially every email that comes into my email going off to a third-party provider in any way, shape, or form.
Well, it's not leaving Google's servers. it's just going from one Google server to another.
Party, right?
No, Opal is
owned by Google. The Opal.
Yeah, Opal is Google.
Yeah. Wow.
So it's not really different from having the Gemini sitting alongside your workspace window in your mail window or whatever, answering questions. Same thing. Yeah.
Right.
Anyway, we're in the weeds. And we're missing questions. We could use some more questions if anybody's got anything about Flutter, Dart, whatever. Anybody got a clever Dart problem?
We can always do some live coding.
Could always be live coding. And Opal can be used
live coding sounds fun. Opal can be used for what?
Opal can also be used from a Gemini gem too, which is really nice. So you can build.
I kind of want to use it to take every like email list that I've tried to unsubscribe from. Like they just not unsubscribe me, and like every email they send me, I send 5 back. And like if we all do that, we could DDoS like these people that are.
But as soon as you send an email back, they know it's an actual email address that's live. They're going to send you more.
Right. And then when they send me more, for every email they send, I send another 5 back. Right. And like
I'll be honest with you, there's a big thing that you used to do back in the Perl days, which was just direct emails into DevNull. Problem solved.
For certain names, I still do that. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, sending those bulk emails is actually rather expensive on like a scale thing. So I kind of tend to let them send them and just auto delete instead of unsubscribing. That way they're still paying to send me an email and I don't have to look at it. So that's my strategy. The filter function in Gmail is pretty good for that.
I still
It's so funny
differentiate
because
incoming email. I differentiate using a Perl script whether something has only an HTML fork and not a text fork. So it's possible to send, basically messages that are pure HTML, and that's 90% spam. So I just immediately drop it into a bucket that I review every once in a while. But typically, the only one I get that's legitimate is from dev.to. For some reason, all of their emails are sent as HTML only. Not
So this was a topic that I just had a long conversation with several not so technical folks, and you would be surprised how many people don't understand that most of the email they don't get isn't just text, that it is HTML and it's often dynamic. This started because a friend was expecting a package or something, and the email said, "Your package will be here on Saturday." And the package didn't come, and she was upset and went back to the email, and it said, Wednesday. And she's like, "Am I crazy? I don't understand." I was like, "No, it said Saturday the first time. It's just now saying Wednesday because it's been updated." And I think a lot of people still believe that there's a very static nature to email, and that's just not true anymore for so much of it.
Yeah,
Yes.
there's also an aspect of it that people don't realize now. It's every email is sent as text. Pictures are normal. Pictures are converted to text so that they can be sent and converted back from text back to an image. It's like it's I don't know, archaic is maybe not the right word, but like UU encoding and basically for a very common encoding formats for emails, and it's just that's the way it was done. A lot of the time, if you've got any attachments, that's it. They're sent as text. Most people don't realize they're converted to text and sent as text, which also makes them up to 4 times larger to get the same encoding.
Mail standard is 7-bit, so you've got to figure out a way to squeeze all the bits into 7 bits, so you encode things. There's ways of encoding email addresses using a totally different wacky system, which shows up every once in a while in raw format. So, but yeah, no, we have a lot of weird stuff because mail was like one of the first protocols. I think NTP was the first continuous protocol, but mail was real close to that. Yeah. Anyway, we have a question again. All that hemming and hawing there. We got a question. What do you think about the costs and token usage from using AI? Oh, that should be on our AI show on Tuesdays, but that's okay. I'm finding that I'm running out of usage after a week of cursor use. Only a week? We run out like an hour or two. Come on. You're not working hard enough.
Which model?
Yeah,
that was what I was going to say, because Cursor splits it apart. You've got API usage, and that is a bucket where your Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini, any other model comes from. And then they've got Auto, which is using Composer 1.5. So if you leave it on Auto and use Composer, you get dramatically more usage for your money than if you're using one of the other models. And Composer, honestly, isn't terrible. Claude, okay. Yeah, I don't know if they have turned down the usage levels or what, but I ran into the same problem. After like a week of coding and using Anthropic's models just because I get the best results from them, I slammed into my usage, but like I still had access if I wanted to use Composer. So what I frequently find myself doing is building with Composer and then polishing with Anthropic's models now. So I get it working with Composer, and then I go in and I'm like, okay, I need to refactor all of these things. And that's where using like the Anthropic models or one of the heavier models comes into place. So I guess my answer to you, try to use auto mode as much as you can to maximize your value. I recently just upgraded to the $60 a month plan because I ran into the same problem you did.
I've occasionally used Gemini and take the problem and put it over in Gemini thinking mode, then take the answer back into my IDE, just because I don't want to burn the tokens for like an side experiment of something.
Yeah, I do something similar. I have a couple of Cursor, and then I've got Gemini, and I've got a thing with Warp, and I balance between the three which I get Gemini for free, so that's one thing. But the Warp and the Cursor, I spend like the $20 a month plans, and between the three, I guess that's the $60 a month. It actually works out, and I feel like they each have their own strengths. So passing off different pieces of work to the different ones is really effective.
Yep.
So I have a Claude Pro subscription, and that's another way that I kind of milk out some extra tokens. Honestly, is I will use Claude Code for a lot of stuff initially when I'm setting things up, and so I have good patterns for Composer to grab onto, and then I'll use Composer for the actual development in the middle there, and then the Anthropic models again at the end. But yeah, you're right. They're all good at different stuff. And it annoys me at how many AI subscriptions that I have at this point. I'm at like 4, I think. And I'm constantly like, I should cancel some of these. And then I'm like, but I use them all, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, for me, the Warp is the hidden ninja power in my little AI circle, because it does system work. Like, it'll not just do code, but if there's something being weird on my computer in general, or I need to do DevOpsy things with CLIs or whatever, Warp is spectacular at those things. Much more like terminal.
Yeah, I've been using Gemini CLI just like this person is. So yeah, Gemini CLI. I don't like. I no longer feel the need to search for to Google search for a command to do something. I now just pop open Gemini CLI and say, I've got a bunch of MP4s in this directory. I want the audio track extracted as MP3s, and I don't have to remember the FFmpeg switches or cut and paste those directly down into my command line. I just let it do it. And it does all the Google searching it needs to go figure out the FFmpeg command lines and just does the loop for me and everything. And I just had to, I basically have a super smart shell by Gemini CLI.
But see, here's the thing, Randall. If you installed OpenClaw, then you could just send that a WhatsApp message, and then OpenClaw could do all that for you, and you wouldn't even have to type out a CLI. It would be amazing.
No, I'll take my CLI any day. I grew up with CLIs. It's fine. I did not grow up with WhatsApp. I refuse to install WhatsApp on my machine. So there.
I have WhatsApp under duress. I have friends that refuse to use anything else.
That's why I'm on Facebook. I'm only there because my friends are there.
I have not logged into my Facebook account in probably a year and a half at this point. Like it, and I'll be honest with you, it was liberating. It was so liberating. Like, I'm not on social media hardly at all anymore. And like, my life got so much better when I wasn't like scrolling through feeds all day. Like I am at least 50% happier.
Yeah. It's where I get to talk to the muggles, because almost everybody else I know is high tech. So it's kind of like ordinary people are over here. It's kind of nice.
I don't know if you noticed all my plants in my apartment here, but Facebook has excellent plant groups that you can't really get to anywhere else locally. So I use it almost exclusively for that. And we do these like fun, and talking about touching grass and entering the real world, we do fun plant swaps and things and go and trade plants.
Oh, just one more unrelated fact, and then I'll try to. Please send your questions in. Obviously, we're sort of stalling and probably about to start some live coding, but just one more unrelated fact. Surgery went well Friday. Textbook, basically, I got in there at 1. They sent me home at 8. I mean, that's crazy considering that they sent something up my groin, up into my heart, and zapped some stuff. And now I don't have atrial flutter in any way, shape, or form at this point. So yay. My heart is slightly better, but better.
Science.
So you're getting outside the flutter game now.
Yeah, right, exactly. So anyway, so everything worked great. I'm off the meds that were pushing my heart rate down from 155 to about 50. And now it's just naturally 50 to 70 or so as I go through my day. So it's really nice. So I'll be seeing you all at Next and in the GDE Summit for those of you that are GEs. Definitely looking forward to that. I can travel again. Yay.
It's funny, Randall. Whenever I take the Sorting Hat test, it goes back and forth between putting me in Ravenclaw or Slytherin. So when I say forget the Muggles, I don't care. That there's some context there for you.
Yeah. Okay. Mhm.
Dear.
Yes. And exactly. Yes. No more Flutter except for coding. Yes, exactly. I'll keep my Flutter in here somewhere. Cool. And we still don't have any questions. You want to start live coding on something, Salmon? Or
I'm wondering if
already
you're got a slow
coding.
start because of the time zone stuff, which there will be one more week of time differences next week.
oh, yeah,
will be
one more sane week. Yeah. So
So let's share.
I have
might-
about half an hour before I have to jump out because I've got a meeting I'm going to have to go to. So I will be ducking out at 1:30 Eastern. But yeah, I'm excited to see some live coding.
Yeah. So,
So let's talk about this. Right. So the general app now crashes on startup. It's got pause at the moment. Let me hit continue.
That's a feature.
Null check. Yay. And after a little bit of investigation whilst we're just waiting there, it turns out that they've modified their website, which doesn't obviously this has all been done without like any sort of like request from them, as it were, right? So this is what you call screen scraping is another term used for this right now. So basically, the episode list is no longer in this JSON object, right? It seems to me that the only way to get it now is by extracting the content from the HTML.
Oh, geez.
Yay.
Good luck.
Now, actually, it's not as bad as it sounds.
Okay.
So I'm kind of curious that line number. That's kind of interesting, right? Interesting. So the point here is up at the top here. If we go to the top, I'm not sure where this line number thing's coming from. It seems very weird. Oh, do you know what I just realized? Sorry, I'd say that I was saving this. I thought I was saving the raw.
Okay.
I've saved this, the HTML of the web page.
Oh.
Do you see what I mean? Like I've actually that's where the line numbers are coming from. Is these line numbers on the left?
Oh no.
That was, my bad. Right. Let's try that. Right. Okay. So let's go back. So they've got all like the episodes on their website. Right. So what have we actually got? There's 50,000 odd lines or whatever it is. So we actually take a look. So this is how you do this kind of thing. So where is it? All episodes wrapper, right? So we need to find this div tag. So this is gonna have all of the episodes in it. There's the footer, there's the header. So everything we want is within this tag here, right? So we need to do that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna clone a bit of this extract JSON thing, and we're gonna say we want to extract episodes from. Right. Okay. AI gave me something, right? So it's not as bad. So I've included the HTML parsing HTML package parser, right? So now what we get back here is an actual document. We can now query that document for a div tag with a particular ID, for example, like this. These are very much like CSS selectors, right? We actually only need one, so that's fine. It's going to give us episodes. Let's go back to the HTML. So what we're seeing inside is, oh look, so we've actually got each category, right? And then the episodes in that category. By the looks of it. So it's all rendered out. So, all right. So basically, to go for each category outer wrapper within that, pick out the category title, and then from inside the category, we want to get each of the what they call start product here, right? So each of these. So since everyone's a swiper slide, we should be able to like grab out the inside tag inside that. Then we can grab the link, the title, and the slug. These are the things that we care about. Annoyingly, that we did have things like date and other things that we don't get on here. So this kind of puts us proper on, like, you know, I don't think we even get that if we go into the. I'm not sure if we get that when we go into the page even now.
So there's not even like a hidden API that we can access. We have to pull this out of the HTML.
Yep.
Oh, that sucks.
Well, the looks of it. And there's no RESTful calls coming from the website.
So they're literally doing server-side rendering.
Yep, which is the best way of doing it. Don't get me wrong. I'm completely like you know, there's no JSON request going through. So this would get us back up and working, but then we'd have to change maybe some of the way the app works. But I think it's a good starting point. Let's go back to our. What was it?
It's too bad package HTML doesn't have an XPath searching.
That's what I was about to say.
There is
What?
actually.
What?
One.
Because XPath is the right way to talk about stuff like this.
Yeah, I know, and I wasn't thinking there is actually a
Free visitor. There's still looking for a searcher.
I haven't thought about XPath in a decade, Randall.
I'm old, remember? I keep trying to tell you guys, I'm old.
I know I haven't thought about it for a while. That's why I was like, let's.
If you want to get really weird, you could get into XSLT for a while.
Oh yeah, I remember that. That was actually pretty cool, to be honest.
It was cool in a sort of meta sense, but it was self-meta, which is the problem.
Yeah,
it was
very hard to get
manipulate XML, and there was like 16 namespaces involved. So it was like, okay, the thing that does the code then returns the thing that looks like XML chunk that does this. Yeah.
It's interesting, right? So here's the problem I see here, right? So for those that don't know, although HTML and XML are very similar, they are not the same. HTML is very forgiving, XML is not. So you can build a web page and forget like an end tag, and it will automatically be ended. And like there's a bunch of stuff that HTML will just work around. And when you pass an XML, that's probably a failure of the parser, right? So it might be better just to use we're essentially using the querying that we're doing right now. Where's the API reference?
Anyone remember VRML?
What was that from?
VRML, yeah, the VR. Yeah, I do. Yeah.
It was VRML was in the late 90s, early 2000s. It was a spec for creating 3D worlds with an HTML-like syntax. It was so far ahead of its time. Like it's dead. It never went anywhere, but it was so far ahead of its time.
There were some games that came out with that, and I remember playing around with it at the time and doing some stuff with it.
At the time, I thought it was the future. Like I went into a deep dive. Like I was like, this is the future of the web, man. We're going to get rid of static websites. Everything's going to be 3D. You'll be like walking into an actual shop. This is it. And this was not it.
I mean, it's what everyone thought, right?
The world should be like an episode of Reboot. Everything should be like that.
So I don't know if you know about so for those that don't know, Reboot is a TV series from the 90s. Yep. It was one of the very first CGI animated children's TV shows.
Right.
And it was about techie stuff, so probably most of the viewers will actually like it. There is actually, but for many, many years, there's only ever been one version that's been available, and that's it's a DVD. It was released to Russian audience on DVD with English, like as a secondary track, and then it came. That was the only copy that existed in any sort of definition, right? And apparently, and so not apparently, I know it is. Recently, Linus Tech Tips heard about this guy doing a documentary trying to recover the original Reboot TV series. They contacted the framework, the original studio. They had the tape recordings, but no tape players to play them. And the tapes were deteriorating, so they had to save them as quickly as possible. So Linus Tech Tips decided to fund buying and repairing some of these old, like, really high quality tape machines. These tapes store bitmap images on them of every frame in their original, like, high definition glory. And that whatever got rendered out the computer was stored straight on these tapes. And they've managed to recover all of the media, and they've been fixing up any of the problems that have been happening, and they're releasing them on the official framework YouTube channel.
Yes,
slowly. So I would recommend
now Tubi, Pluto, Sling, Roku. It's listed as showing on a bunch of the streaming channels, so might already be available.
Yay.
I just want to say, as much as my wife makes fun of my Linus Tech Tips screwdriver, I do love Linus Tech Tips, and I love this screwdriver.
Yeah,
Reboot has so many hidden messages, so many Easter eggs too. It's incredible. There, like, you'd see a stream of 1 zeros going by on a banner, and that was actually messages to people who would decode it in binary. It was pretty funny.
I completely missed this. I was a senior in high school when this came out, so
check it out.
A little distracted with, senior in high school stuff.
It really made tech fun. I mean, it was a fun show. It had great villains, and our hero is a great guy, and the whole entourage is wonderful. It's definitely some great writing. I mean, the CGI looks primitive today, but man, when you think this is 20 years ago, 30 years ago, right?
I would have been the perfect age for this, and I completely missed it. Completely.
Really? You've never seen it?
No, never.
Oh, now we know what he's doing for the next 3 hours.
Yeah.
Right.
Sorry.
Sorry.
I'm calling off sick from the rest of the work. I'm going to watch Reboot. Yep, that's exactly what's happening.
That'll go over well. Yes. I'm rebooting my system. You could just say that.
Right.
Right. Where were we before we got completely distracted? Right. So, we don't have all of this information anymore. This is actually going to really mess up the app. I don't know if it's worth doing this right now. And might have to dig through and figure out what to do later. I mean, I can show, maybe we'll extract some data and I'll show people how you do that kind of thing. And then by the way, people, if you want live coding and you want to stick some stuff in the chat, right?
Suggest things. We'll pay attention to that.
Right. Let's do.
We're here for you guys. That's why we're here every week.
Let's do this. Let's make this output a list. Oops. Right. Step 1. That should make that work. Cool. Okay. So we want to get the episode wrapper. Now, from inside of the episode wrapper, we can query each of the categories. Something like that. It was category algorithms class. So these are selectors, right? So how you process, how the selectors built together depends on what you're trying to do, right? So you can go look them up. It actually directs you on here to the selector level form, what it supports, and how you build up the selectors. This is how you can essentially, it's very much like XPath. These are basically CSS selectors. So there's no direct reason to use XPath at this point. I mean, there are like XPath does do things differently, so I'm not going to go there right now. I'm not going to go through that explanation, but yeah. Anyway, right. So for let's call this category tags, and we'll have a guess we're going to need to know the categories as well. Yeah, let's not worry about having the categories for the moment, but we do know that we want to process each category. So for each category tag, we want to go through and query the various bits of information from within that. So what do we have? We said we wanted oh no, I guess we want each one of the A tags that's inside there. So let's see if we can do that. So we want a div tag with swipe slider class, and we want the A tag within that. We'll see if that works. And then I mean, it's coming up with some stuff here. This isn't right. I'm just like using it as a basis. Why not? So we want the href from the A tag itself. So this, each one of these elements coming back is would be a link tag. We should be able to say anchor episode as HTML anchor element.
Seeing query selector pop up is giving me PTSD from being a web dev.
Oh, we don't actually. These are generic elements. Okay, fine. So we should have attributes. We can say link. What are the other things that we can get out of this? Oops. So we're saying we can get the link. Then from within this, we want to get the product title text. It's a div tag inside that somewhere, right? Yeah.
There's an XPath for HTML package that uses the standard HTML package.
Oh, there is?
Yes.
Well, too late for that now. Let's just do this. Where did you see that? I was looking for one.
I'm Googling for it. I just said, what was the query? Use Flutter package HTML with XPath. And it said, to use XPath with HTML, even in a Flutter app, recommended.
What yeah, sure, but what package is it suggesting?
XPath for HTML is the name of the package. This as this, and it says add both HTML for parsing and XPath for HTML for XPath queries to your project.
Is it this one? XPath selector HTML parser.
It says just XPath for HTML. Let's look. Yeah, it's just called XPath for HTML.
Discontinued. Replaced by XPath selector. XPath selector has HTML and XML one. So we've got this one.
Yeah.
And this gives you an example of what we're just talking about. Let me bring this bigger so you can see. So you might have your HTML that what we're dealing with, and then you can build up a query. This is how you can extract data from a particular subtree. Essentially, we're doing the same thing with CSS selectors. There's no. It's just a different way of doing it, right?
Yeah. And actually, you could take the output. I think you could ask the DOM that got parsed by HTML, because that's now going to be regularized with start and end tags everywhere. You probably could just that to the XML parser.
That's why I was also thinking that, but I didn't want to double parse it.
Because the XML parser now has XPath, and they're working on XSLT. That's all done in Petit Parser, by the way, it was one of the demos for Petit Parser, and everybody said, "Why isn't this a package?" So The guy released it as a package, and he now had to support it to do all sorts of wonderful XML things. It's not as fast as a handwritten parser, but it's in that nice high-level petite parser language, which we should do a project with that one day. Create our own DSL. That'd be fun.
Right. Yeah, it would actually. I mean, we could do our own little language and show how those things kind of work.
Mm-hmm. So I'm sure that's mysterious to probably at least half our audience, how parsers actually work and how you can write them relatively simple with tools like Petit Parser.
Right. Slug. Title. I'm not sure. We've got a link for the moment. Oops. I'll just quick thumbnail. Oh, yeah, sure. Right. Episodes to list, and then right. Oh, because this is for each category. Right. We need to unwrap this and also then inject all the categories in, which is what I wanted to do. We'll do that. Let's do that. Why not? So this is officially categories, right? And then we actually want to return back. What's here? Like category name. Let's go. It was span class category title.
I forgot how we got to reboot, and I went, "Oh yeah, VRXML or VRML." We're talking about that. And I brought up reboot.
Yeah, VRML was it was so far ahead of its time. It was cool.
Yeah.
To this
It's
day,
too bad.
I think that there's something to it. VR as a technology has never quite made it over the cusp, I think, the way people kind of expected it to. And there's a lot of reasons for that. But
yeah, Second Life is starting to support 3D viewers now. Fascinating stuff. Second Life was about 3 years too early. They got locked into a technology that sort of beat them up over the years. I don't know. Roblox is pretty significant these days, right? And kids still using that, making stuff.
it's interesting because I feel like Roblox and VR chat to a certain extent, and Rec Room, even like Fortnite and Minecraft have kind of taken up and done a lot of things that Second Life was trying to do.
Yeah, it was just a bit too early, and then people said, "Is that still around?" When I sometimes DJ inside Second Life because I got a DJ rig and a way of broadcasting inside my space there, and then I tell people that, and they go, "Second Life is still around?" I go, "Yeah, definitely."
I'm half tempted to install Second Life just to see you DJ. I want to see your avatar be like, "Everybody, throw your hands in the air!" Bow, bow, bow.
It reminds me, what was that Ready Player One, where the who created it has the DJ booth? Yeah.
Yep.
Ready Player One is a fantastic book, and fun fact, the author is he's based an hour away from where I used to live. He lives in Columbus, Ohio.
And I bought Ready Player 2, but I haven't read it yet.
I haven't read it either. I've heard mixed
I have-
reviews. I don't know.
I have Audible credits that eventually dispose, so I have to keep buying stuff every month, and so there's a bunch of books I haven't read. I just got David Pogue's Apple book, the Apple the First 50 Years, and the audio is read by David. He's a Broadway performer, so it's really great that he's also a tech wizard, and he was on 10 of our Macworld cruises. So I got to meet him there. So he was having a book signing locally, so I got to go see him book sign. And of course, Apple's 50th anniversary is April 1st coming up.
I'm reading Kaiju Preservation Society right now. It's fantastic. It's a comedy / science fiction. Totally off topic for what we're coding. Sorry, Simon.
Yeah, well, Simon stopped talking, so we're filling in the gap.
I mean, we can talk about this.
You letting
So,
Augment help there?
Right, let's just hang on. Basically, we're just trying to. So let's come back to this. So what we've done here is we've gone through each category on the page. We've extracted out the various the category episodes and title, returning those name and yes, name. I don't call it title. I guess. And return those. Now, each of these episodes needs to be tagged with that same category. It's kind of interesting because, like, I think that the episodes can appear multiple times within different categories, right? So, I'm trying to think about how we can kind of like separate that off. Essentially, what we want to be returning back is a list of episodes, and each episode has a list of categories that it's attached to. So one way of dealing with this is to it's essentially flatten out the episodes, then go through each episode and look up what categories it has. Sorry, I'm just thinking out loud here.
Mm-hmm.
We could build a lookup ahead of time to do something like
I need to log off, guys. I
Basically,
have to get to my work meeting.
Yeah, I got
Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for joining us.
I will talk to you guys later.
I got a jam too. I usually only stay for an hour, so it was fun.
Well, thanks for joining us.
Bye, all.
Thanks.
Bye.
Go watch Reboot.
Where was I?
We were coding.
Yeah, so basically we just want to kind of like fan out. There's a couple of different ways of tackling this, right? So I'm just thinking about like we can try and collapse all the episodes into one episodes list. And as we do, set the category on each episode. But then I just realized out the top of my head that won't work because it needs to be a set, right? So actually what we want to do is the episodes can appear multiple times, right? So effectively, we don't want to map like this. We actually want to we can do this in one loop up front, right? So we have a list of episodes. Now we want a map. And each one's indexed by slug, which is the unique ID, right? And then instead of mapping the tags array, we're just going to loop over it. Find these things. This makes more sense. I didn't like this anyway. Okay. So the point of this is we look up the. Don't need to look those up just yet. So we'll look up the thumbnail to get slug, and then we'll see if it exists or not, and if it does exist, then what we can do is just say add the category title. Yeah, exactly, to list of categories. List of screen. It's very untyped right now, but that's we're kind of doing it before we pass it. So, and this is just to get the data into a format that we want to pass it into data structures. We could put this straight to data structures. Just don't want to do that like just yet. Let's see if we can get the data out and it works for us. Let's see. Categories slug. What is wrong with this picture? Oh, because it doesn't know an episode is. No, you should know that an episode int. Oh, because we've quit. That's why. Episode tags. There you go. That's better. Oh,
Ooh, new stable released 15 minutes ago.
of course. Right. Anyway, let's get back to this. Right. Else.
Yep.
Let's like this, and then you can put the title link in. And there we go. And then this can distribute values. All right, then. Let's see how this works now, shall we? It can only go wrong. Let's put a breakpoint here and hot restart and see what happens. Okay. That definitely was not right. I mean, we've got one. It's in the categories. And we certainly got all the data that we needed. But why have we got... Oh, because there's each episode. Hang on a minute. Don't. Episodes.
Fun manipulating one.
It's optimized it out. That's why. Okay.
Yeah.
So what we're actually saying here, this is correct then. So slug, title, link, categories is all we get. So coming back to this. Slug. Let me just say, I'm glad I have this in in a repo, so I can undo this just in case we're going down the wrong path at the moment.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Commit early, commit often.
Right.
Commit to make a new base camp as you're climbing the hill. I'm sure there are rock climbing rope names and stuff for stuff like that, but I don't know any of those. The little things you pound into the rocks, then you pass your rope through it to.
Crimpons?
Yeah, I think those kinds of things. So get commits are like those. They kind of lock you in so you can't slide past that. And
All
trade
right.
school.
I think. Let's get rid of that then. We've obviously broken some code with that, but that's fine. Let's just hit continue for a second. This is what I expected to happen. And we just want to make sure we're returning back the thumbnail URL as well. Okay, so can we get our app alive again? Let's find out.
Oh no.
So we specifically obviously broken now a bunch of places which required us to have what do you call it? Yeah. So we're just gonna have to, I guess, take it by each one of these. We don't have a release date now. We'll come.
All right. Get all my Flutter pieces updated. See what Flutter Doctor says. Cocoa Pods is installed, but not working. I hate Cocoa Pods. I wonder why it's broken. I don't kind of care yet.
CocoaPod is always in some realm of brokenness.
Yes.
I will say that everyone should start using the new Swift package manager.
Right, so this should be non-problem most. But it should be being updated. I have it installed via Brew, and Brew should have fixed it by now. I wonder why I'm not getting it correct. Maybe it looked too early.
Getting there. I know it looks like there's a lot here. There's not actually that much going on. A lot of it just be removing things that we don't support anymore. Yeah, we can't do if we don't have the release dates, then we can't sort of buy release date anymore. They do actually appear in an order in the carousels on the website. And then the more recent one to the left, so we could have a index. That's an interesting point. Yeah, but it's per cat. Oh, that makes things more complicated. Let's not worry about it for the moment. Let's even get the app starting again. I'm hoping that we can get all this stuff back, but let's just see if we can just get it started up again. Since it's not a very active stream, there's no questions. Is there any questions coming in?
Well, there's one right now. It just came in. It's the new Swift package manager under a flag.
Good question. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Neither of us know. Neither of us work for Google, by the way, either. We just got to say that every week.
I think it's one of those things where we all need to start pushing for the Swift package manager, and any plugins that we want to use that don't support it need to support it. The changeover will happen. It will happen when you least expect it, right? So we all need to be what's the word? Forthcoming with it all. Otherwise, we're gonna all be stuck and going, why didn't it do what I wanted to do? And like, well, because we didn't push.
Google says yes, it's behind an experimental feature flag off by default for existing app developers. And you run a Flutter config command. I'll put that in the chat here.
Nice catch.
So that Flutter config should enable the Swift package manager for your installation. Is that
Right.
per project? Or no, that's global. That's global. Interesting. You can also do it. There's a way to do it in YAML in your PubSpec YAML. So there's a way to flip it on there too. But Google for it if you need it per project.
Right, let's run it and see what happens. What can go wrong?
I hate that when I close a window and it happens to be the window I kind of wanted to keep open.
Close your eyes, everyone. Is there any experience with Fastlane? Yes, I have experience with Fastlane. Is there an episode about this? I don't think we've done an episode about deployments or anything.
No, we've never gone all the way through. No.
Why you do that? That's not. Line 13. Thumbnail path. Oh, because I called it thumbnail URL. Idiot. Where is it? Let me fix that.
There we go. I got my chat back again. Any experience with Fastlane? Is there an episode about this? No. Oh, you were answering it. Okay. I was distracted. By the window. What? Is it working?
Well, it's kind of working.
It's fetching episodes. Installed.
Yeah, and then we've got. Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear. It's all sorts of broken. Right, well, I'm going to park it here, I think. We're, I don't think it's not really been busy one this week, has it?
Yep.
Ship it. Yeah, exactly. It's good. Good to go. It's in beta. We'll let our customers beta test it. So good.
Yes.
Yeah, I no interest in so let's just try one. Let's check one thing. I think I might know what's going wrong. I think I know what's going wrong. 1 second. 1 second. Let me. This is using the slug. I'm using the wrong thing as the slug. Let's just see if this works, and then. If this is a quick fix, then I think it is, but we'll see. Right, so basically, I'm using the last part of the thumbnail URL as the slug, when actually it should be the last part of the link. So let's sort that out and see if that magically Soul slings. Flip those around. Restart. Let's see what happens. Ooh, we have images. Click on it. And we have content again. Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah, there's still sadly there's still we don't have descriptions anymore. Like the top level description.
Wow. Yeah.
Like a lot. We've lost a lot. Although we've got, we can still essentially go into the categories and transportation. Let's see all that. It's definitely not as nice as it was. But you know what? I'm sure there's something we can get to.
That's the problem with an API that's changing out from under you, right?
Yeah. Well, this is why I want to pose it to them as here. Look, we can. This can be your official, app.
Right. It'd be nice.
Anyways, right. I guess. Yeah. Thanks for joining us, everyone. When it comes to Fastlane, just to answer that question briefly, we haven't done an episode on it. We could do an episode. Oh, puppy. Yeah, I mean, sure. It's one of those things that it's like it's very the problem with doing these straight. The problem with doing. That's what I was going to do, Richard. But yeah, I wanted to get the app to a point where it's like, here, look, it's ready to go.
Yep.
So just talk about that. When it comes to Fastlane, the problem with doing any sort of video on that is that you have to give away API keys to do all the stuff that you're trying to do, and it can be fraught with live streaming problems in that sense. You don't want to give away any secret information on the live stream, so it can be really hard to do those and talk about those things. Same as when you do like a sort of presentation talk, you build all these accounts and do this stuff temporarily for the thing, and then you have to shut it down. With a live stream, as soon as you leave that live stream, that's it. Someone can start using it, and who knows what. So, it's
tricky.
It's possible, but I'm not saying we're gonna go ahead and do it. But yeah, we can certainly talk about it a bit more in detail. Right. Anyway, thanks everyone for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you same time, same place next week.
166 hours from now, still.
We're still 1 hour earlier, and then it'll go back after next week. Yes. Right. All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Bye.